In the heart of Whisperwood Forest, where the trees whispered secrets to the wind, lived a small brown squirrel named Nibbles. He had the fluffiest tail anyone had ever seen and paws that could outscamper a shadow. But Nibbles held a secret quite peculiar for a squirrel. He was terrified of heights. While his friends danced through the treetops, leaping from branch to branch like furry acrobats, Nibbles stayed grounded. He was the king of the forest floor, gathering fallen nuts and hiding treasures behind lush bushes. He'd climb, but only to the very lowest branches, just high enough to feel the sun, but low enough to feel safe. Whenever he dared to look up at the towering canopy, a shiver would run down his spine, his paws would tremble, and his tummy would flutter like a trapped butterfly. "Up there is not for me," Nibbles would whisper to himself, patting the solid earth. "The ground is much, much safer." One crisp autumn morning, a wave of excitement rippled through the forest. The great golden acorn had been spotted. This wasn't just any acorn. It was the biggest, tastiest, most legendary acorn of the entire season, glistening high in the branches of the tallest oak tree. Squirrels from every corner of Whisperwood chattered and scurried, their eyes fixed on the prize, eager to begin the great climb. Nibbles watched from below, his usually perky tail drooping like a wilting flower. He longed to be brave, to feel the thrill of the chase, to join the celebration up in the sky, but his fear held him captive. As he watched the other squirrels disappear into the leaves, a tiny, desperate voice squeaked, "Help!" Nibbles' ears twitched. He scanned the area and saw him, Pip, a very young squirrel, stranded on a thin branch halfway up the giant oak. The wind had picked up, making the branch sway like a swing, and Pip was frozen in fear, too scared to move up or down. The other squirrels were already far above, lost in their race for the golden acorn, their excited chatter drowning out Pip's tiny cries. Nibbles' heart began to pound against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of fear. That branch was higher than he had ever climbed. Much, much higher. "I'm scared," Nibbles whispered to the wind. But then he looked at Pip, at his wide, terrified eyes, and a new thought pushed through his fear. But Pip is more scared. Taking a shaky breath that seemed to fill his entire body, Nibbles placed one paw on the rough bark of the oak tree, then another. He started to climb, slowly, deliberately, hugging the trunk as if it were his oldest friend. He refused to look down. He refused to look up. He focused only on the next small step, the next secure grip. "Just look at me, Pip." Nibbles called out, his voice softer than he intended but steady. "Don't look at the ground. Just watch me." The wind whipped through his fur, trying to push him off balance, and his legs shook with a mind of their own, but he kept going. Step by step, inch by inch, he climbed higher. When he finally reached Pip, Nibbles did the first thing he thought of. He wrapped his big, fluffy tail around the little squirrel like a warm, reassuring blanket. "I've got you," he said, and he meant it. Together, they began the descent. It was even slower than the climb up. Nibbles guided Pip, showing him where to put his paws, whispering words of encouragement all the way down. Finally, their feet touched the soft, familiar earth of the forest floor. A cheer erupted from the squirrels who had gathered below. Pip turned to Nibbles and gave him the tightest hug a little squirrel could manage. "You're the bravest squirrel I know," Pip said, his voice full of awe. Nibbles blinked, completely surprised, but "I'm afraid of heights," he confessed. Pip just grinned, his fear all gone. "That's what makes it brave," he replied wisely. From that day on, Nibbles didn't magically start loving tall trees. His tummy still fluttered when he looked up, but he had learned something incredibly important. Being brave wasn't about not being scared. It was about doing the right thing even when you were terrified. And sometimes that was more than enough to help you climb higher than you ever thought you could. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.